I think you all have very important, very distinct experiences and insights. So I wonder, can I ask Laszlo to start the discussion? You can stay there if you want to use the podium. That's also perfect.
Okay, let's start.
Whichever is more comfortable. Sure.
Thank you for the word. It's an honor to participate in this event. And I very much like the title, The Transformative Moment of AI, because this is the moment we are. It's a transformative moment. We don't know exactly what AI will bring. We can only partly assess it, but we feel it that it will bring a huge a huge transformation in the future. So it's a very, very interesting moment we are here. I would like to get back a bit and raise your attention that in the last 15 years, digital transformation happened. And based on that, we can have a feeling of the transformative power of AI. Because we think that's my second statement, that in the next 15 years, AI, especially generative AI and agentic AI, will transform our personal and future life as well. So what happened in the last 15 years based on digitalization? You can think of that how did we live our lives before internet and phones? It was a completely different life. And also we can ask how did we manage our finances before digital banking? It was like Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, should go to a branch office, filling in paper applications, and waiting in Queens, waiting for the response, going home, getting back to have our cards. And that was a very lengthy and time-consuming process. And now, just 15 years, how we manage our finances, everything on our mobile phones. You can check your balance. You can apply for a credit card, and you can get it within 24 hours. And the credit card, it can be used throughout your phones. So you don't have to wait to get the physical card. We have video bank services, so we have as many branches as smart devices. Everybody can ask advice from bank tellers. This is a completely new way of banking, and also the banking landscape is very different. New firms, fintech firms, appeared in the landscape, and they challenging the traditional banks. Also, digital banks, as Granite Bank is challenging the traditional banks, and that makes the competition even more fiercer. And I think that brings significant value to the customer, as they have a better service, quicker service. In this case, I think it's a good thing that it's quicker, more flexible service, so they can access it anytime, anywhere. They are not linked to the physical branch network, and also the prices went down because on the other hand, on the bank side, this digitalization brings a huge cost advantage. We don't have to build up a branch network and operate and hire bank tellers and guards and so on. So it's much cheaper. It at least 20% better cost advantage what we have in our digital bank comparing to the bank sector. So that's why we can provide a preferential condition for the clients on long term. So this competition brought value to the clients. And what I think that digitalization shifted the financial sector from first gear to third gear, and we can now go by up to 100 kilometers per hour. And artificial intelligence, I think, will shift from third gear to fifth grade or even higher, and we can go over 200 kilometers per hour or even fly, because that brings similar and fundamental changes to the banking sector as digitalization did. I think I stop here, and I will share our experience on AI in the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't know. Akos, can we ask?
Sure. Happy Friday, everyone.
Yes.
I didn't get the memo about not wearing a tie or wearing a tie, so without it.
You're perfect.
Look, I wrote my thesis about 25 years ago about the dot-com boom, just in the building next to us, and it feels. And I have a déjà vu. I'm not sure about you. Like in 2000, 2001, 99, no one did really know what the internet is going to bring us. These are GPT technologies, general purpose technologies that take some time to unfold their transformative nature. Recently, there was an article on NFT. They opened up all the Fortune 500 companies' annual reports and scanned it for what are these companies are doing with AI. Guess what? Everyone is mentioning the risks, but there is very little upside still. Strategies aren't strategies. They are driven by, or what companies are doing are driven by missing out, or the fear of missing out of what happens if my customer does this and I don't do this, right? Very little upside is being shown in these reports. And in fact, I just left MSCI about 6 months ago. I was responsible for AI in this institution. Now I'm working for a different company, but I had the pleasure to speak to many of the CEOs and board of these Fortune 500 companies. And what is clear that there is an absolute lack of strategy many times because people simply do not know what to use these systems for. Generative AI is just another window into deep learning and the fact that deep learning has world gave us these generative technologies. But the point is that companies are rushing into many pilots, and there was a recent MIT study where they showed that 95% of all the pilots in AI are failing. Now, why is that? One, obviously, GPT technologies, general purpose technologies, are taking cycle time-wise about 7.5 to 12.5 years until they penetrate into the mainstream. Now, obviously, with generative AI, this has been speed up as our world speeds up, as you said. And so what I'm thinking right now, and what our research and my research has shown, is that the lack of domain knowledge in these pilot projects is one of the key factors of why most of the pilot projects are failing. Now, we have developed a model to understand better the layers of the impact of generative AI. On the foundational layer, you have the normal console-based Copilot, ChatGPTs, Anthropics, and all the consoles perplexities you might have on your phones. And that's the no-code layer. The middle layer is the low-code layer. That's where you're talking about using some basic APIs, using some custom GPTs if you use ChatGPT, or Copilot Studio if you use the Microsoft 365 world. And on the top, you have the high-code layer, and that's where most of the benefits will come. But my recommendation, and this has been shown throughout the research, is that you don't start with an AI center of excellence. You are starting with learning how to crawl, then you learn how to walk, only then you do run, and finally you fly. And so you need to take this step by step, because without the actual domain knowledge of the person that is working in the actual field, the probability of your project failing is going to be extremely high.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gilma, please. And then we'll jump into the discussion, so please prepare your questions.
Let me introduce myself. I am EIDAS and digital identity expert, and honored very much to be here. I haven't been so long in AI as you all guys are, but I just want to bring few examples which are very, very illustrative. In my leadership of the project, we are running with the 20 governments to build up European digital identity to be accessible cross-border in EU. We run enormous amount of the communication, information, and analysis. And on Monday, it was the last day of our project, and we had a great conference closing event. And the report, the final report, around 800 pages, with the recommendations, lessons learned in 6 use cases, including for banking sector, for the health insurance and health, electronic receipt, everything to be accessible cross-border. So, and we thought, what is the message we're going to bring to the government authorities, to the policymakers? And I sit with my team, and we put this AI with the tasks, and by several iterations in few hours, we got a fantastic report. Of course, we went for the proofreading, improving, but that was exactly what we were willing to say to the government authorities. And I think, it's like an incremental process, how you start using it, learning, advancing, and then, as you say, fly. And another example, yesterday over the dinner, we spoke with the colleagues, and Jansson was mentioning that there's 30 software developers company is doing the power of 1,500 people. So this is enormous. It's enormous where we as a society, humanity, where business, we stand in front. And AI can make us stronger, can make our business competitive edge. But as more we are in that digital domain, and more vulnerabilities and risks are related. So if applied this AI, in the wrong way, we can fail, and we can get a huge damage. And talking about this digital identity, we definitely need to be concerned, and cyber by design, AI by design, to avoid this fake digital identities, which, especially, for instance, in the banking sector, financial sector, can impact, and the people are losing a lot of money, and this is brings us professionals more sophisticated, more deeper approach in all these technical standards and compliance and certification.
Thank you so much for these very intriguing and insightful remarks. And I believe, there's a lot of, experience behind all of you that is really worthwhile for all of us to learn more about. I will start with a few questions, but of course this is a discussion, so this is between us, and I think what is important for us is really to have a chance to talk with all of our experts. So feel free to just raise your hand or with a question. We can jump into this, absolutely, because I'm sure that go ahead.
Hi, my name is Anjan, professor at Northeastern University in Boston on cybersecurity. I'm on sabbatical at ETH Zurich in Switzerland. I have questions for each of you. First on digital identity. Switzerland, as much as last week, had a vote of digital identity, and only 50.3% of the people voted for, which means no matter what technology we implement, half of the country is going to hate it. Also, from whatever we are discussing, it's still very hard for people to understand what advantages they are going to get by having a digital identity. People say banking, age verification, and so on. But most of the arguments have always been, I always go to the same pub, same place, where the guy knows me from my birth, so there is no age verification happening. So why do I need anything like that? So it's a question of communication, but they also see a problem of surveillance and things like that. So that's one question. The second for both of you is, how do you see integrating AI into banking and HR practices in general? Is it fraud detection? Is it customer service? Is it, because all of these come with enormous issues of integration rather than the technology itself. For example, when you're hiring someone, I find a lot of people using AI systems or some sort of automated systems to pass your resumes. It's very unfair, I think, that practice, simply because you have thousands of resumes. It goes through some AI system that just pops 5 people, and then the filter goes through there. So it's kind of tricky how there are people who would have really strong resumes, but then this goes through a random structure and ends up with a hiring manager. So there's a lot of issues around this. So I'm just curious about how this is going to affect in general. So.
Thank you so much. I'm glad I didn't finish the sentence. I wanted to say I'm sure we're on the same wavelength, but definitely I also wanted to ask this AI and digital identity gives us as much freedom as is dangerous and as is risky. So Vilma, would you start answering?
Thank you for a very good question. When the regulation came in force in 2024 in May, at least, I think, 35% in the European Parliament vote against it. And we as a society and as experts, we understand what does these politicians have in mind. That's why this regulation has a key provision saying that, first of all, the user is a king. The user is deciding which data, my own data, I want to open, for which relying party. And the second provision says no one, the relying party, the service provider, could not keep this data to use it and in whatever purpose it would be. So it was opened, either it would be the age or my, let's say, mobile driving license, and that's the data are closed. And the second part of your question, why do you need, if you go to the same pub, whatever. So we live in the very changing world, and mobility of people across countries, continents is huge. So mobile driving license, for instance, the standards of it, ISO standards and European, they are compliant. So we are building to have a compliant system around the world. So if I will go to the States, I can use my mobile driving license for the police to show, and that is okay. If I go for vacation to Spain or to Italy, and I suddenly get sick, and I need my asthma prescription drugs from the asthma, right? So I call my doctor, and this receipt is in my wallet, and I go to the pharmacy and I buy immediately, not losing the time going to the local doctor to get the receipt. When I am a businessman, I can sign with this wallet the contracts with the other ones sitting in the other country. I don't need the notaries. So it's a lot of the technical IRF, architectural reference framework, with a lot of the standards, 160 standards, which are not all in place yet. With the regulation, the main regulation and the secondary acts, 36 secondary acts are on the way, around 20 are adopted. So it would be very much, how to say, customer protecting, customer benefiting, but it would be very, very hard to make it working and to be safe, because the governments are empowered to take the control of it. And that would mean not in the one country, but across the EU, right? So this is a really revolutionary step. I never been facing in my digital career for the 20 years, and there are a lot of the doubts whether and when it would be created, but we are moving with this, and there are many risks and a lot of the vulnerabilities which come up. Therefore, we need to build it by the technology, by the law, by the governance. So sorry for so long, but it's quite interesting time we are living, and the EU is investing a lot of money. So 11 use cases we were piloting in my project with 20 governments. Now there's a second stage, and we will be building the wallet certification scheme. A lot of challenging tasks. And yes, but it's always about the investment of the money and the value are you receiving. I fully agree, if you are living just in your village, you probably don't need it. But if you are, for instance, Belgium, and you have a property in France, and you have a job in the Netherlands, and these different identities make you crazy, yeah? So, and this shift happened when the world was facing pandemia, and that's why EU and Ursula von der Leyen decided with the parliamentarians we need interoperable digital identity. Sorry, so much.
So if I may reflect to this topic, I hope that remain that people go to pubs and discuss things in person. But from digital identity, also a bank can make use of it, as in case of a credit assessment, we collect a lot of data, a lot of available data from public databases, whether they have a valid identity card, whether they have a regular salary, we ask for utility bills payment, in order that we can precisely assess that they are capability and willingness to pay back the loan what we are about to grant. And for that, it make it more quicker, more easier to collect this data and analyze it. So that's for that purpose could be very useful. On the other hand, AI usage in the bank, I completely agreed with you that we can go step by step, and in 10 years' time we can look back how much transformed the whole workflow. Now we are using generative AI. We call it Granite Guru. That's a mortgage assistant in the bank, and so far, the result that this generative AI made 35,000 client contacts without any human intervention. That means that the customer activity grew by 20%. And in the meantime, the call center burden went down by 20%. So that's a huge thing. And also, we can ask whether we have to dismiss people. No, we don't have. We are growing. Our business is growing, so we are constantly hiring people, but from different area of the banks, because AI will intervene all the areas of the bank. I'm just assessed that if we group 7 different activity of the bank, from business to back office, all is affected by AI. For example, in business, we can be business activity can be accelerated because client can ask for a banker 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So no borders. They can prepare. Clients can contact an AI agent anytime when they are when it's fit for them. And also all our employee get a copilot, an AI copilot, who helps their daily work and make this time-consuming and sometimes boring work less easy to make. What is very important that we should check, control AI. That's necessary. That's very important. And also the back office and other service areas effectivity grows, and also the accuracy of this task goes up by using AI. And also, in the meantime, IT and IT security guys have more work, but they also have a copilot with this AI together. So that's why I'm very positive. If we are used AI in a clever way, then we can make use of it pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you. Akos?
Thank you. You have chosen a great country for a sabbatical. I lived there 7 years and I consider myself 1/3 Swiss. So I wouldn't take the Swiss's opinion applicable to the rest of Europe, but that's a different story. We can have that discussion with a beer. Look, I think you asked me about HR, right? And so if you look at the HR landscape, you have to think about this the following way. You have the EU AI Act as the governing circle. Then you have my my triangle that I mentioned to you, the no-code, low-code, high-code layer, right? So let's start with the no-code layer, right? We did very early on, we did a research trying to figure out how much productivity gain any co-pilot that you mentioned is giving to our employees, and generally in any corporate environment. The way to do that is you essentially create job profiles, look at the entire value chain of that profile, what are the steps to complete the output, and then you measure 3 things. The function of productivity are 3 things, obviously: speed, number of tasks, and quality of tasks, right? And so you try to do that measurement manually and see, you sit with your colleague, you measure it via a phone or like a stopper, and then you have certain timing, certain number of tasks, and certain quality benchmarks. And then you do the same thing, giving the colleague the co-pilot as well. Now, there's a distinction there to be made because the colleague needs to know how to prompt. And I personally made the experience that that's another whole new skill, right? So what we determined is that across many of the front-end tools that we've been using, something around 19.3% productivity increase is the average that you can increase one employee's productivity. Now, 19.3 translates into, if you think about a month in a model, 21.1 working days in a month. That means something like 3.6 days of productivity gain. Now, it's always tricky because you cannot think that now you have 3.9 or 3.6 days less work to do, right? But you can use that for different things, or people sitting more on the toilet playing Candy Crush or whatever. So that's the base layer, okay? On the mid layer, you have the low-code tools, and that's when the domain expertise comes in. Now, productivity jumps here to 40%. Control is important here. The governing AI EU Act is important here because before even generative AI, there were systems, in your example, that were scanning resumes, right? So biases are risks. But I think with AI, especially with customized foundational models, can be used to avoid those, right? There was a recent article, a guy actually wrote a low-code layer into his resume that is not seeable on your paper, but it was picked up by the tool, and the tool actually responded to the guy. Right? So you can hack the system quickly, but that's a different story. So low-code layer, 40% jump. Now you jump to the high-code layer, and that's the mortgage tool that you mentioned, and that's where the real ROI comes in, right? I have you a gazillion examples in terms of domain you can use in HR, you can use in mortgage approval processes. It's all about mapping out the value chain, all about doing the work with AI. It can help you, right? Doing the work on the various job profiles, and then you can figure out with domain knowledge. But most importantly, it's all about education. And I stop here in a second. All about education. You have to make sure that you do not just have one guy who understands AI. You need to create a champion program by which, and the numbers should be fairly high, so I usually say 20% of any department in your corporation should be trained on AI, should be trained on the foundation of AI, should be trained on how to prompt, should be trained on the possibilities, and that you use then as a multiplying effect to the rest of the 80%, because me as an AI expert, I have no idea about banking. I mean, I do because I was in banking, but in this case, right, let's say I have no idea. So now if he is an expert, he understands the process to get a mortgage done, and therefore the response rate is going to be a multiplier in the entire mortgage department.
Fascinating. I've got tons of questions to all of you, but I think we have also one from the audience. Let's hear that one.
Yes. I would just add a comment to this digital identity topic, because I think that will be crucial for digital zoning laws, for example. So if we want to have child protection on the internet, then I think it's unavoidable to have a digital identity, and it's a very trustful way. I mean, in just disclosing the necessary information and nothing else. So I think it's already a technical problem that has been solved already. What I wanted to ask from Ákos is that don't you see a kind of slight contradiction between your, what you told about the MIT report, that 95% of the projects are failing, and productivity gains that in theory we should get from AI. Isn't this repeating the solo paradox we know from the earlier management literature, that we see computers everywhere except in the productivity statistics, right? So it is kind of a very interesting lesson to learn, because we can probably learn from from how we solved solo products in the previous times, and I would think about rethinking organizations and governance in the AI first manner. And the second thing that I would ask as a challenge to the panel, and not just for this panel but for the education, how we define expert generalists, because this is a term that is starting to emerge, in certain places, but it's not really a generally accepted, educational goal. But I think we can really have some kind of productive ways of understanding how we can see if a person is expertise is more generalizable and it's as a consequence more usable in an AI first environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want me to reflect first?
Yeah.
No contradiction at all. I'm in the 5%. Just kidding. I'm not that cocky. No, so that 95% is going through all the companies that I mentioned. I do not remember the exact details. I can dig it out for you and to see what these projects were. What I was reflecting on in the second half of my speech was much rather the fact that if you want to do this right, and I learned it the hard way as well, you need to focus on these frameworks that I explained. So in AI, HR, obviously the circle of the EU AI Act, then the triangle, and then obviously of education, a few other things. It's probably worth 2 days to speak about it, but I built this out through the past 5 years. I've been dealing with machine learning, deep learning, and then later on generative AI. So no contradiction in my head at all. In regards to digital identity, if you don't mind, I would love to reflect. Who's Hungarian here? Sorry. Okay, great. Who has DAP on your phone? Okay, great. So for the non-Hungarians, obviously, we have a digital system in Hungary. You have all of your papers on it. You have all of your prescriptions on it. You have your IDs on it. To me, obviously, one step further is the zoning law that you were referring to. It's a bit too far even for me, but I love that I don't have to carry my IDs. The police stops if it happens very rarely. Then I only need to show this to them. So it's more sort of, to me at least, it's a convenience thing, right? And I don't remember your third point, so I stop here.
But when you go abroad,
yeah. That's what you work out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you use the same services you have here? Can you use them abroad?
It's your job.
So being to possess a skill set that is applicable across various domains. So that's how we can kind of make it a measurable skill set. How much you are adaptable, and that therefore functional or productive in an AI-first environment?
Look, I think that there are three attributes to this. One, definitely adaptability skills, right? Digital literacy is the outcome of that, right? Number two is problem-solving capabilities. While you would think naturally that generalism is going to be the way to go because AI is going to solve everything for you, I think it's the other way around. And that's where I would challenge you. I think the domain expertise is going to be extremely important. You remember that joke why the guy out of a small town charges just for one hammer hit 10,000 euros, right? And so I think domain knowledge is going to be extremely important. And generalism is going to be fulfilled by AI. And the third is thinking in frameworks and models. Look, I, for myself, I'm writing a lot of business use cases. I'm now in the real estate development industry, and I'm writing, I don't know, daily 3 or 4 use cases for plots that I'm discussing with colleagues in the banks, right, to get financing for. Before, it took me about a week and a half to get something that I'm done now in 1 day, one single day, right? All the analysis, all the background, all the flat mix, everything is and can be done within 1 day, right? And so what I needed for that is contextual awareness. So understanding the context is the biggest lack of these systems today, because they lack infinite memory, they lack contextual understanding of the situation. So you, and this is my third point, you need to be able to transfer your framework, in your domain framework, into the system. And we are talking now about no-code systems, so that the system can help you to exploit its vast knowledge.
Yeah, Johannes.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you so much. You said something extremely important, because that study from the MIT is crucial for the understanding of how we can successfully work in digitalization projects. And funnily enough, it was done in the department where I learned it. So the MIT has been trying to build a few courses around this, because it was totally flabbergasting them, because it's so high, the 95%, this is not where it should be. And funnily enough, the answer to that questions, I mean, to find out that they are failing is one thing, but to try to understand why they are failing, that was quite a journey. And this journey has not come to an end, but two of the learnings that were made were, on the one hand side, if you, from a technical architecture standpoint, don't understand enough about the use case that you're doing, in order to find out, can AI really help you with that? Can it solve the problem? Does it bring forte to your case? That's the one hand side. And there are matrices that the MIT developed, where they say, if you are above a certain threshold, there might be a chance that you will succeed. So you can try to work along with that. But what turns out to be much more important is the business architectural part, if I may allow that term. If you as a manager don't understand what it's good for and what you want to do with it, and if you don't give the right directions to your architectural department, to the technical guys, you increase the chance of failure.
That's the domain knowledge I refer
to. Absolutely. And it's so important to emphasize on that, because in learning, in architecture, in manufacturing, and go through the branches, you will find the same pattern. To overcome the so-called hippo paradigm, it's the highest paid person's opinion. That was how decisions were made in companies for possibly centuries. So to switch that to fact-based decision-making, that is, for a lot of people, a very painful journey. So it's not anymore about the ego, the look at how my hair is in the moonshine. It's about, let's go down to the numbers, let's go down to the facts. And that, I believe, is a fundamental change that humans, from time to time, find difficult to adapt. But, thank you.
So true. I don't know if you want to reflect on this, or...
Talking way too much,
Yes.
please.
No, that's what I wanted to say, because everybody wants to do something with AI, but most of them don't know what to do. Exactly, because the point is, and that's also what you describe, it's like agile work method, that we don't, for example, in banking, it's not the way that the product development summarize something, send through the IT guys and waiting for the development, and let's see whether it's work or not. We are not working here. We are these departments. I mean, business guys, IT guys, and also legal guys and back office guys working together to solve a problem and to reach a higher user experience, because the final goal for us to bring a better, more comfortable, easier service to the clients. And when we reach that goal, that development will be successful. That's
Absolutely.
the formula.
I want also to reflect. Can you remind us what does the research shows that what is the percentage of citizens and businesses using AI? In general, do we have that research?
I'm sure there is research out there, and if you give me 2 minutes, I'm gonna find it for you. But they might know it. There are hands up. How much?
Yes, there are 2 questions there. One, yeah.
Maybe we have an exact
One
number.
in the back. So 1, 2, 3. Maybe we can collect them, and for the efficiency of time, please start. Yeah.
Just going to be brief. I'm not in business, but as a user, we live in 5 countries throughout the year, and we have a bank in all different countries, including Asia, in North America, and Europe. And becoming a digitalization make our life very, very easy and convenient. We use AI extensively to manage our health, finance, and so on and so on. But at the same time, the privacy, and I feel most comfortable in EU, that's where we live here the most, that because of that, Europe, human rights is most respected. And what's happening throughout the world is to keep the safety more government involved and keep everybody safe, you're giving up the privacy. So when digitalization of the identity, at the same time, I'm really scared. For example, let's say I digital myself in a blockchain, but if the quantum computer is, how secure it is. And many times, this company, the data was breached. What did they do? They try to make money. That is so important for them. At the same time, I feel like neglecting to make sure your data is completely secure. But we don't know how secure it is. When even the Pentagon was breached. Then, if I have all my data in one place, and I'm completely screwed if somebody breached that. So I have many emails and many different passwords to at least prevent, one password breaks everything. So what I wish EU is still, moving to the right because of various issues. However, try to keep the individual right of freedom and priority still, than security of the country. That's my comment.
Thank you. I'm so glad you bring this up. Looking forward to the comments. Next question, please.
Well, I just wanted to ask, I think Mr. Janza mentioned that 20% of any department should be trained to use AI. So what does this entail? Because exposure is out of question, that we are all exposed to using AI. And whether we have, I'm not sure we have, what percentage are trained properly and able to use it? Because what I see is that it's not even clear for the management what does that supposed to mean.
Thank you. And one in the back.
Sorry. Mine was more around the percentage of failure on the projects and the business architecture element. So it's more about, in my environment, we know that the number one reason projects fail is the human factor. The sponsorship and leadership engagement is not always there. So I was curious to understand how AI is going to improve that experience.
Great questions. How shall we start? I don't know. Yeah, one more. Okay. And
just one remark to your question. And I looked it up because I wasn't quite sure about the number anymore.
Me too.
So according to my source, it's 900 million people on the planet at the very moment using AI tools at the very moment. I was in a NATO environment where they said it'll be closing to 1 billion to the end of the year. That might or might not be true, but it shows how significant it is. And when you see what developing countries are doing with AI at the very moment. We've been discussing the agrarian databases, data spaces that the United Nations are now building in India and where else. These are massive game changers. So the question then, of course, is how do you cope with it? And of course, the question of identity becomes more and more and more important.
Thank you.
Start?
Yeah.
20% is essentially ensuring that you have enough mass in order to impact your entire department, right? So let's say in MSCI's terms, 7,000 people, 3,500 people are in IT. 700 people need to become, and I think that was your question, 700 people need to become digitally completely literate, meaning they understand all the various console tools that are out there. They are understanding various offerings that are out there, what generative AI, multimodal generative AI can do for them, and that they can show that they can apply this on their day-to-day work in order to achieve that 19.3%, 19.6% productivity gain. And then their job is to multiply their knowledge and go to their colleagues and teach them, not via classroom, but on the job. Hey, I have a question. How do I solve this with AI? You could do this email much quicker this way. Or you could run this analysis much better. Oh, I don't remember how this Excel formula is working. Oh, here's a way. Just ask Grok, for example, or whatever tool you're using. I know. I brought this up because we had an example here. And I think that the question on regards failures, right? I need to look up the MIT research. Maybe Jonas, you know this better, but I presume that, as always, because big projects are failing, is the fact that people usually don't concentrate on small steps, on experiments, on building a hypothesis first, and then trying to fail fast and quick before putting in a lot of money into a project. So that's what I would say is the main reason. The second is lack of knowing what they want. They just want to do it because it's cool. And then third is a lack of execution. I would guess that's my hunch.
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely. From the paradigm point, you're perfectly right. I'm just adding the numbers to it.
We don't know each other, by the way.
We never met. So. But the thing is that the MIT tries to point out that if your business endeavor, the thing you try to reach with a digitalization, an AI move, shows in very early MVP, in minimum viable product stages, fulfillment rates around 80%, it's deemed to be a success. If it goes down below 50, don't try further. You might not succeed with it because you obviously have a problem that you haven't understood yet. Everything between the 50 and 80 requires further research before you really try to set something in production, if it is worth it or not. Because you might find out, I'm flattered, because you might find out that you have an architectural failure, that you have a failure in the thinking. Is your use case right? Is the expected outcome right? These are things that where you would want to put more research into that. But the 80 and the 50 threshold are, I mean, this is rule of thumb, of course, but these are the main values that you're coping with.
I don't know. It comes to my mind very important point I want to raise up. The bad guys, they are not sleeping. They are creating the platforms, how to fake the IT systems, how to steal the money, how to steal the data. And in that society, rapidly changing digital society and the business, you could not stay behind or neutral. You need to learn faster than these bad guys. And in that respect, some people still are lagging behind with those skills, with this knowledge. And I think that is one of the very important tasks of us professionals is to do the right communication, right messaging. Sometimes we are locked in our bubbles, like IT community, the lawyers community, then it's politicians community, and those bubbles, they are not connected. Therefore, we need to create the common language which would be understandable for those decision makers who employ AI, who would bring that to their companies, to their groups, to their communities, in order to be more speedy than these bad guys. So learning, but also the communication is the right communication, and advocacy is a big issue also in that our dialogue.
Thank you. Laszlo.
Just one remark for the 95%, whether it is a problem, because we are in a learning curve. If they are learning out of this failure, then the next 100 project, out of the next 100 projects, 80 will be successful. So I think it's could be natural at this point.
I think it's also very, very true. It also links to the other question. Maybe if I can have just one sentence from you on the security side, because you mentioned also in your presentation how important it is to have control over AI and the output that is used by your colleagues. And you said, yeah. Would you be able to link that or comment on this security side?
I wanted, thank you. Because that's very important how we use AI, because we get some free time out of AI, but we have to control AI, have to assess AI, and then correct the failures, because AI is something that gives wrong answers sometimes. So that's a constant work to improve this system, and we have to allocate more time on this side, and then we get a better result. Regarding the constant fight between good and evil, that's what I mentioned. That's how humans are. When there were no AI, no computer, they were just stealing money out of someone's pocket. Now bad guys went digital also. We have to fight with them, and that's a key area in the bank. IT security, fraud detection. And for that also AI and digitalization helps a lot to capture it, and in a lot of cases we can block suspicious transactions, and out of these suspicious transactions, some of them are fraudulent transactions, and we are stop these transactions, and that's a very important nowadays, that we are constantly learning from these fraudulent type actions in order to hinder this in the future. I'm very positive because that's more easy to stop the money flow, because when they get out of the money from your pocket, you cannot get back. But in the digital world, maybe you can get it back. It's not an easy task.
Yeah. On this cheerful note, if I may thank our speakers for the insights and the contribution and the great discussion, I would like to ask you to join me in thanking them.